Hello and welcome to the iconic Nürburgring, where we're kicking off a new week of ranked racing in RaceRoom. This is one of 3 rookie races on the schedule this week, and we're going to be racing the shorter sprint circuit with the GT4 cars. And as luck would have it, we're starting a new SCB Sunday Series this weekend, and this is the exact same combination that we've got for round 1. So it's the perfect chance to have a practice for Sunday and also hopefully give our ranked rating a little bit of a boost as well. We're starting from 5th on the grid, and we're driving the Lotus today. That's the car I'm going to be using for our Sunday Series, so I thought what better chance to get familiar with it. So let's see how we get on. Let's get over to the grid for the live action. So with the lights about to go green, we're forced into evasive action almost immediately. Look at that, the pole sitter, Alex Gall, has completely fluffed his lines at the start. Tyler Aroglu was in the other Lotus right in front of me. He swerved to the right and I think he just clipped Gall. I managed to go to the left and get around him safely, but we've got more things to worry about now. This tight turn 1 at the Nürburgring, we're 4 wide coming in, but miraculously we all get around unscathed. I've managed to maintain my 5th position by tucking in safely behind this Porsche, but I'm being badgered now by the KTM of Tom Howing. He's on the outside of me and he comes back in and gives me a little tap there. I've got the inside for this turn, but Howing's not letting up. He's got the inside for the next turn as we come out onto the back straight, and that gives him the drive to get the pass done. Howing up to 5th. I drop down to 6th. And if you take a glance into the rearview mirror, you'll see that our pole position man is fighting back. That's Gall. He's just tucked it up the inside of Aroglu's Lotus as we lose someone else on the infield. That was Jürgen Maurer's Audi, and he spun out of 3rd position, so that's given us a place back. We're up to 5th, and we've got Gall and Aroglu battling really hard still in the rearview mirror. There's only a small entry list for this mid-afternoon race, just 13 drivers lined up on the grid, but I suspect it's going to be an intense 15 minutes nonetheless. It's a short lap around this sprint circuit, and there's not going to be many opportunities for the field to spread out, so I'm expecting a race-long battle as we pull up right behind the KTM of Howing. It's a huge car, that KTM. It's so wide you almost lose all your visibility of braking points, and I actually just eased off the gas a little bit early then, just to be sure that I could get around that final turn safely. Because if you get too close to it, that KTM, the rear of it is so wide, it seems to take up your entire field of view. Right, we're approaching turn 1 for the first time flat out, so it's important to get the braking right. I actually hit my braking marker just fine, but I think I was just a bit light on the pedals and I ran it a bit deep. And that's allowed Aroglu in the other Lotus to nip up the inside and take 5th position, so I've been relegated back to 6th. And as we exit this section, it gives us a chance to go back and check out a replay of the start, and keep your eye on the pole man, Alex Gall. He just doesn't get going, and the entire field have to take avoiding action. That's me on the outside in the black Lotus. I managed to get around unscathed, but we're on the outside line here, and I'm aware that we're going to be running 4 wide into T1. Just look how crowded it is. I'm trying to give them as much space as possible, but somehow we tuck into that small gap in between the red Porsche and Aroglu's Lotus, but we've also got that KTM on the outside. Look, we're rubbing doors, but he just runs out of room and he has to take a wide line, but then he comes back in. There's a bit of contact and I've got the inside line at this stage, but I know as long as he stays alongside me, he's going to have the inside line for the run onto the straight, and that's crucial because he's able to carry the power and make the pass stick. Just in front of us, keep your eye on the number 402 Audi. That's Jürgen Maurer, and he loses it on this hairpin. It's difficult to tell from the camera angle whether he tapped the car in front or whether he just lost the rear, but he spun out of 3rd position. And then on the approach to T1 to start lap 2, I just get a bit lazy on the brakes, run it in a bit too deep. That opens up the gap for Aroglu to dive in and take 5th position. As you can see from the relative board in the bottom left of the screen, we've managed to open up a little bit of a gap over Alex Gall now. It's up to 1.5 seconds, and I'm pushing as hard as I possibly can to keep up with this pack in front. They're battling for a podium, and I want to be a part of it. I did run a little bit wide out of that hairpin that creates the sprint circuit here at the Nürburgring, clipped the gravel on the outside, and it cost me a tenth or two, but we are still well within a second of Aroglu. 0.7 is the gap, as we approach this final chicane. And watch Eroglu ahead. He runs in way too hot, goes in too deep, has to correct his line, clips the curb. That unsettles the car, and we're right behind him now. I think about having to dive up the inside into the final turn. In the end, I think better of it and back out, and actually that indecision cost me some valuable time. I didn't take that final turn as fast as I could have, and the gap has gone back up to 0.8 of a second. And as we charge down the start and finish straight, I've just got to hope now that these three cars in front get a little bit closer together. If they start battling for that third position, it's going to slow all three of them down, and I should be able to join in the fun. You can see now that they're visibly getting closer, and I just need to bridge this gap to Eroglu. He's still got a second advantage over me. Just missed my apex there too. That's not going to help, and it's going to mess up my line for the exit onto this back straight. But with the battle in front getting closer, let's open up the TV cam, and in particular keep your eye on the red Porsche of Florent Icard. He runs it way too wide into that hairpin. He's completely missed the apex. That allows the KTM of Howing to dive up the inside, and that groups the three of them really close together now. That red Porsche is all over the back of the KTM, and I suspect that he might be sizing up a possible move up the inside into the final chicane. But before that, it's all about getting the power down on this fast straight, flat out through this right-hand kink. Has the Porsche got enough speed to tuck it up the inside? Well, no, he can't, because the KTM of Howing is defending. All the while, Eroglu is closing in on the pair of them, and he's dragging me with him. So it looks like things are going to get really close over the next lap or two as we return our attention to the live cockpit action and power down the start and finish straight to start another lap. And yeah, take a look at the lap times in the top left of the screen. I managed to go faster than everyone in front of me, bar the leader there, so that battle ahead is really helping me out. And look at Howing in the KTM again. He's taking the defensive line into T1, but Eroglu's going to try and tuck it up the inside, and there's contact. Eroglu just taps the rear of the KTM. It sends him off. Has he saved it? Yes, he's still in the rear view mirror, so he's managed to keep control of it, but he's lost the position, and that's promoted me back up to 5th, and we're right behind these two now as well. I just get my line all wrong again through that section, take too much of the curb on the inside. The car gets unsettled, and I can't get on the gas as quickly as I'd like, but thankfully Eroglu wasn't able to capitalise because he's got problems of his own behind him. He's got Gal for company, so we've opened up the TV cam again. Look how close they are. They're side by side behind me, battling for that 6th position. And Gal's really not giving this up in the green Audi, is he? Look, they're still side by side for the 3rd corner in a row. And it looks like the pole position man might just have done enough to make that pass stick now, although Eroglu's not going to give it up. He's going to power around the outside. Oh, fantastic stuff from the Lotus man, because he's given himself the inside line for the chicane, but he doesn't even need it. He had that much speed. He managed to get back onto the racing line and take 6th position back. Enthralling stuff unfolding behind me here at the Nürburgring. But let's return our attentions to the live cockpit view, and as we start a new lap, it looks like we finally got a bit of breathing room both in front and behind. So let's check out a replay of that T1 incident. Yeah, we can see Howing in the KTM decide to take that defensive line on the inside, but keep your eye on the number 77 Lotus of Eroglu. He tries to take a tighter line to capitalise on those two guys going out a bit wider, but there's just a little bit of contact to the front of his car. It sends him even wider, and it allows me the chance to nip up the inside and take 5th. So we're more than halfway through the race now, and Eroglu and Gal are now more than a second back, so that's really encouraging. And I've managed to keep the pace with these guys in front. Look how close I am to the red Porsche of Icard here. Howing in the KTM looks like he might have the potential to clear off. He's almost 2 seconds ahead, but my attention is firmly focused now on that red Porsche. I really think I've got what it takes to get around him and get 4th position. However, this Porsche does struggle a bit with understeer, and I'm just not able to get out of that hairpin quite as quickly as Icard. Here I tried keeping it in 3rd gear for a change. Normally I would shift down to 2nd and benefit from the engine braking, but the extra speed didn't do me any favours there, combined with the understeer of the Porsche. I just ran it out a bit wide on exit, took a bit of the gravel, and that's given Icard the chance to open up a 0.8 of a second advantage. And as I push hard to try and get that gap back, I make another sloppy mistake in the chicane. Look, I just clipped the inside curb and it's given me a slow down penalty. It must just have been millimetres over track limits, but still I've just got to take this final turn a little bit slower than I normally would have to get rid of that slow down penalty. And again, Ickard benefits. He's 0.6 of a second clear. And as we charge flat out down to T1, I thought the 1 second gap to Aroglu behind was a safe distance, but instead, brace for impact. It was a huge hit and it caught me completely off guard. I hadn't seen Aroglu coming in my rearview mirror, so it caught me completely by surprise. And as you can see from the top right, it's given me suspension damage too. But at the moment, I'm just concentrating on trying to defend the position and not let Aroglu through. But in actual fact, Aroglu's dropped a further position and instead, we've got to deal with Alex Gull behind me. He's taken full advantage of the contact to put himself right back in the mix. Let's check out the replay and we can see just how far back Aroglu came from. I was oblivious at this point. I didn't see him in my rear view. But look on the inside, there's a white missile coming and there's huge contact. To be fair to Aroglu, I did take a very wide line into T1. I was trying to get it cut off and get on the gas early to try and keep pace with the car in front. So the gap was there, but it needed a tight apex to take safely. And I think Aroglu was just too late on the brakes, couldn't get it turned in, and there's the big contact. I have to admit at the time I was a little bit annoyed with this move, but having looked at the replay, I did leave a little bit of a gap, and although the move was rough, watch Aroglu here, he runs it out wide to give the position back. So fair play to him for that. There's certainly no hard feelings for that incident. So back to the live action, and of course now the big question is that suspension damage going to affect the way the car handles? Is it going to slow me down? We've still got 4 minutes of the race left, and as you can see from my rear view mirror, I'm being absolutely hounded by Alex Gull now. And as we exit the final turn, he's right behind me, so he's going to get the benefits of my draft, and he also might have a top speed advantage if that suspension damage of mine is affecting the car in any way. So at this point, I decide against defending, and I almost invite Alex to make a move up the inside. I'm hoping that by encouraging him to dive in, he's going to overshoot the corner, and look, that's exactly what happens. We're able to get back on the gas a lot quicker, and hopefully make a little bit of a break for it. The plan almost worked perfectly, but Gal managed to keep it on the tarmac, so he didn't lose as much time as I'd hoped. But as you can see now, the gap is 0.9 of a second, but it all depends on me getting this line right, and once again I make a mess of it. We run out wide onto the curb, we've lost all our drive, and that invites Gal to make a move up the inside into the hairpin. Look at the radar alert, he's too close for me to defend that inside line, so I have to give him space, I've got no choice. However, if we can just maintain the speed on the outside line, we're going to have the inside here. So for the second corner in a row, we're side by side, but I still can't get it done. And I have to finally yield the position. There's no way I wanted to take that right-hander out wide. But look at Gal. He runs too wide on exit. He takes a whole load of gravel, and the only opportunity I've got to try and take advantage is up the inside. It's really fast. Have we got enough space to get it done? Yes, we have. We've got the position back, and we just need to tie it off in this chicane. We've done it. Yeah, my heart was in my mouth as I made that pass. I knew there wasn't going to be much room, and I knew I was going to have to take a lot of that inside curb. I just hoped that it wouldn't unsettle the car and send me careering off into Gal to the left of me. Thankfully it didn't, and we made the pass stick. But we're really going to have to work hard over these final 2 minutes to keep this 5th position. Let's just check out some highlights from that previous lap. It was an absolutely fantastic battle. Here's the first attempt. I invite Gall into making that move. I was hoping he was going to run wide. He does do, but he just manages to keep it off the grass. That helps him maintain some of his speed, and although he loses a few tenths, he's still very much within striking distance. A couple of corners later, Gal gets another opportunity, and this time he's determined to make the most of it. He tucks it up the inside into the hairpin, and for the next half a lap we're going to be side by side as we battle for this position. I've managed to maintain enough speed to keep the inside line into this turn, and I was hoping just to get myself far enough ahead to make it stick, but I couldn't, so in the end I had to relent. But watch the green Audi, he runs out way too wide and grabs a load of gravel. That gives me the opportunity I need to fight back. I'm going to dive up the inside here, taking a lot of the curb. Thankfully it didn't drift me over into Gal's line, and we just had enough speed to maintain the position and get to the chicane first. Dramatic stuff with a few laps to go here at Nürburgring. Keep your eye in the rearview mirror now. Gal's going to take it out wide into this final turn. He's going to try and take a late apex, get on the gas early to get the momentum down the inside. He's got the speed again, so I'm going to do the same as what I did a couple of laps ago. I'm going to try and invite him to make a move up the inside in the hope that he'll run it in too deep again. We're on the last lap now, so we know that if either of us makes a mistake, it's curtains. But Gal thinks better of it. He doesn't make the move up the inside and he just sits back. So now I've got to think about defending, and my main goal here is just to keep as tight to the inside line as possible. I know that he can't make a move around the outside, so I'm just going to try and keep things as narrow as possible. But I just drift a little bit too wide there. It messes up my line yet again. And look at Gal, he's done me completely there. He's played it to perfection through that section, taking full advantage of the wider line into that turn to get the drive he needed through the straight. He's forced his way up the inside again, and unlike on the last lap, I didn't have the power to carry my speed through the outside line. I do have a think about trying to dive up the inside there, but it wasn't really on. It would have been unsafe to do so, and it looks like Gal's got the job done because instead I've got to worry about Eroglu again. So as we begin the dash to the final chicane, I'm certainly not close enough to repeat my heroics from the previous lap, but can I get close enough to tuck it up the inside into the chicane? The answer is no, because Gal sensibly seals off the line and makes it impossible for me to get around. Our last hope now is that he's pushing so hard that he outbreaks himself in the final turn and misses the apex. Is he gonna? No, he's not. We keep as tight an apex as possible just to fend off any last chance of Eroglu coming around. And yeah, we're going to cross the line, finishing an epic battle to take 6th position. Yeah, let's check out the replay here, and fair play to Gal. It was a fantastic drive. He tied me up in knots here. He knew exactly what he was doing. Timed that charge up the inside to perfection. Look at the speed he gets. It's way faster than me. And unlike on the previous lap, he's able just to get his nose far enough ahead at this hairpin to make the pass stick. I've got no answer to him now. With the previous lap still fresh in the mind, I did wonder if I could get alongside him there again, but I just wasn't close enough. And look how close I got to almost losing another position to Eroglu. So yeah, deep breath after that one. That was one intense race. And what does it mean for our ratings? Well, after steady progression in the past few weeks, we're beginning to flatten out now around about the 1650 mark, which is still as high as I've ever been, so I'm absolutely delighted with that. And as you can see, reputation is still looking pretty good as well, 92.3. So let's go over and check out the classified results, and there we are in 6th place. This combo certainly guarantees some close racing. There's only 9 seconds between myself in 6th and the winner, Patouche. And this race also goes to show that you don't necessarily have to have a full grid to have a cracking race in RaceRoom. Only 13 drivers took to the start line here, but it ended up being one of the most enjoyable races I think I've ever had in this sim. And it bodes really well for the first round of our SCB Sunday Series this weekend. I think the action there is going to be equally fast and furious. But for now, that's it from the Nürburgring. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. If you have done, feel free to leave a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, you can also check out some of my other videos or subscribe to the channel. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend, and whatever races you're entering, let's hope they're good ones. Cheers.